Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to break down the idea of walking for fat loss because it's become such a trend. In fact, I want to give you guys an oversight on how walking specifically works for fat loss and how you can use it to apply what you're doing. And the first thing you have to understand about fat loss, my philosophy and my approach to losing body fat, it's the entirety of your day is a process of both consuming energy and expending energy. And what we're trying to do is create a methodology where we can actually create a caloric deficit. Now, this caloric deficit should have the least impact possible on your day that is negative. And what do I mean by that? So if you do cardio that is, let's call it high intensity, although the research shows that you will burn more calories in a shorter amount of time, thus, when it comes to the energy curve, you're going to be having a lot more energy burned in a short amount of time. But what we found is that over the rest of the day, you actually burn less calories. So this is where walking has gotten its kind of come up, right? It's an experiment that I ran a few years ago where I started walking on an incline treadmill outside. I've even tested out various forms. And so I'm going to show you in a minute how many calories you burn doing different styles of walking. But the idea with fat loss is that we control these variables and we reach our physique goals. And I've showed you, hundreds of examples of this, not only through my clients, because I am a coach. And if you're looking for a coach or you need one-on-one coaching, I'll put a link in the description box to set up a consult. But, through our transformation challenges, we've talked to people that have had lots of success. And so I want to break down, because I get stopped and asked about this all the time. How does walking work? Okay. So the lowest form of energy expenditure we can have is sleeping. When you're asleep, you're burning calories, right? You're actually burning calories, just your brain is functioning, you're breathing. So when we are at a low intensity state of activity, our body preferentially burns fat as its primary fuel source. As that intensity level goes up, you start to preferentially use more and more glycogen, carbohydrates, which are stored. So why is this important? Well, turns out, in my experience, the more you can focus on cardio that uses fat for fuel, the less impact it's going to have on your hunger signals and the less impact it's going to have on your energy throughout the day. Why are these important? Well, if you're less hungry and you have more energy, guess what's likely to happen? Yeah, you're going to be able to create an energy gap that allows you to lose body fat. Walking, especially just strolling outside, if you've ever tracked your steps, it's very common now to say, hey, I get 5,000 steps, I get 10,000 steps. That is a very low intense form of cardiovascular exercise. And thus you are primarily using fat as fuel. But don't get too excited about using fat as fuel, because while that is important, burning fat for fuel is not the same as losing body fat, okay? Because although you're burning fat for fuel, if you overconsume calories, you're still going to store more body fat. So we still got to create that energy deficit. But the real value, in my opinion, is that when you're using fat for fuel, it's going to have less impact on things like blood sugar, and it's going to have a positive impact on your energy throughout the rest of the day. So what I find is that people that use walking, various forms of walking, have less instances of overeating, of feeling exhausted, or of having less total NEAT. NEAT, or non-exercise activity, if you look at this graph here, it's actually what we do throughout the day that is not exercise activity intentional. And so that will actually go up and down based on how we're feeling, right? And so if you're exhausted, your NEAT might go down. So even though you've done something really intense, you might actually burn less calories that day. And this is where I think people get into trouble with fat loss, is because they go, man, I did a 45-minute CrossFit class, or I ran sprints and I did all this stuff, but then they don't really pay attention to what they're eating. They eat to their feelings, and they're going to overconsume calories based on the calories they burn. They're also going to burn less calories that day. Right? And I see this all the time with my clients. I'm like, coach, I'm eating healthy and I'm doing lots of cardio and I'm not losing weight. So let's talk about the various forms of cardio, and we'll get into my gold standard. First is just walking outside, getting your steps. If you are sedentary, this applies to you. If you are someone that gets up, gets in your car, drives to work, sits at a desk, comes home, makes dinner, sits on the couch, goes to bed. I've had clients on consults tell me they get 2,000 to 3,000 to 4,000 steps a day. There is nothing easier to make you lose body fat than to simply double your steps throughout the day. Now, you have to do it intentionally. You might have to get up a little bit early. You might have to take a walk at work. You might have to find time in your day. But simply increasing your steps think back to when we were young. You know, when I was in high school and I was walking around the high school campus all day and I came home and I was on my feet all day, I can't even imagine how many steps I got. I never had to worry about putting on body fat. I did eventually put on a lot of body fat. Guess when? In my late 20s, when I had an office job and I drove to work, sat at a desk all day. I still lifted weights, but I just got fat because I didn't move all day, right? So walking has some very powerful benefits, okay? Now, for me, the gold standard for walking is not just walking outside. I know a lot of people give me grief, but I love walking on my incline treadmill inside. I live in Florida. It's often hot. It's often rainy, but I can walk whenever I want. I can get up before my kids go to school. I can walk after they go to bed. I can walk in the middle of the day. I can get my steps in. Now, let's look at the calories burned. I'm going to put a graphic on the screen here for you to see, because the real value in walking is that you can actually increase the intensity of the walk so that you burn more calories. So if you look at the calories burned per hour with a flat walk, it's about 156 calories. Now, this was an experiment I ran in a video. I wore a heart rate monitor to test this. I was able to burn, well, 240 calories walking on an incline. And if you added a vest, I was able to burn 340 calories. So more than double the calories in the same amount of time. Now, I know what you're saying, Paul, as the intensity goes up, doesn't the amount of glycogen use go up? It does. However, there is a sweet spot where you can be burning still primarily fat, using some glycogen. And for me, it's right around that spot. I like to tell my clients, and I like to focus on breaking a sweat. If you're sweating on an incline treadmill, for me, it might be like an incline 5, speed 3.2. I find that I can get into a really good spot where I get a little bit sweaty, my body temperature comes up, but the second I'm done, I'm not hungry, I'm not tired, I just go about my day. And I'll also tell you this, there seems to be a benefit to my mental capacity. I've got a little bit more energy, I've got a little bit more creativity, and I'm just excited. I feel like almost like endorphins, almost like a runner's high. And then I'll go, you know, I'll do something like I'll eat, I'll work a little bit, and then I'll go to the gym later in the day. So walking as a tool for fat loss just comes down to, are you being accountable to what you're taking in, and then using movement throughout the day to actually create the energy deficit without having a huge negative impact on you, right? There's a lot of benefits to mental health when it comes to walking. You can use it as a social thing. I like to use it to like put on a TV show. We are all busy people, kids, business owners, you know, friends, family. Take time to do something for yourself. Start moving a little bit more. Hopefully this clears things up. But again, I have a free guide that I'm going to put below. It's a complete guide to nutrition, to training, just to get you started. It's really in depth. It's something I've developed over the years with my team. But the point is to give you guys the tools to be able to do this yourself and understand just how that works. And again, this video right here explains the experiment that I did where I was able to walk with different styles. So you can actually see the caloric expenditure through those styles. And as I mentioned earlier, I do have a video with my favorite 30-minute walking routine, including how I increase the intensity and bring the intensity down. And it's really helped me lose that last little bit of belly fat and stubborn fat that I tend to hold on to, because yeah, sometimes it'd be like that as a man. All right, guys, I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.